Let me start with this koan, a very famous traditional koan from the Zen tradition. Let me read it for you. Great Master Ma was unwell. The temple superintendent asked him, "Teacher, how has your venerable health been in recent days?" The great master said, "Sun face Buddha, moon face Buddha." That is the koan. So I thought it was appropriate for the very difficult period that we are all facing together right now. So let's look together at this ancient Zen story and see how it is related to our practice and to our current situation. So this koan is the number 3 in the Blu Cliff Record, and is also, you can find it also in the Book of Serenity, number 36. And traditionally, we start to study a koan by framing historically the protagonists. So here we have Master Ma, or Mazu, Baso in Japanese, that is a teacher that is very important in the history of Zen. And it's very interesting that we have him in this koan because he is known to be the strong master. He is the strong guy of the history of Zen. He is the one that created the idea of the Zen master as vigorous, powerful, strict, and traditionally is considered the first Zen master that had this kind of attitude, very, very powerful, martial, very strict in the training of monks. In the Transmission of the Lamp, he is described as, he said, his appearance was remarkable. He strode along like a bull and glared about him like a tiger. If he stretched out his tongue, it reached up over his nose. On the soles of his feet were imprinted 2 circular marks. And he was, according to the Transmission of the Lamp, a student of Nanyue Huairang. So we have this strong master, very powerful, but here he is sick. He is sick in bed. And it's not by accident that we have the powerful teacher very, very sick, very, very weak in bed. And it's not a cold, but it's something serious, a serious illness. He is close to death. He is in bed and he cannot move. So right away, this koan invites us to see the indestructible Ma in his frailty, in his impermanence, in his sickness, in his weakness. And then we have the head monk of the temple that comes with a redundant question. Because he asks to a person that is dying, "How are you?" And how many times we do something like that? when we meet someone and we ask, "How are you?" without being interested in what this person has to say. We don't even listen to the answer. There's a friend of mine that when people ask him, "How are you?" he always answers normal. And if you insist asking, what do you mean by normal? He answers, "If you really, really want to know how I am, we sit down and you give me 2 hours and I'll tell you how I am, how I feel. Otherwise, don't ask, or otherwise just accept my answer as normal." But if we look at the question, is a koan in itself, how are you? Do you really know how are you? It's not how you feel, but how are you? Do we know it? It's a mystery. So in a very simple question that we use every day, we already have a koan. How are you? Do we know it? So on one level, the head monk is showing us how we normally relate to this question, how are you? In a very superficial way, not even caring about the other person. But on another level, he is sincerely worried for his teacher. In some other translations, the question is even more subtle. The student doesn't feel like going to the teacher that is dying and ask him, "How are you?" So he asks, "How is your venerable health?" And in other translations, even more precise, he asks, "How is your body?" Now, the practice of zazen, we do the practice of zazen with this body, with our body. Suzuki Roshi, I've been trained, as Will said, at the San Francisco Zen Center, founded by Suzuki Roshi. Shunryu Suzuki Roshi used to say that zazen is physical education. I can imagine that this can be hard to understand, but let's think about the tea ceremony. With all these very complex movements, maybe it's easier to understand how Zen practice is a physical education. In fact, is through our body that we come back to our true nature, that is a Buddha nature. Wherever our mind wanders, our body is always here and now, and our body constantly manifests Buddha nature. Even though we are not aware of it, this very body is manifesting Buddha nature in every single moment. Even though we are lost in future projects, we are lost in the past, lost in despair, our body is always here and now. And during the practice of meditation, if we realize that our mind is wandering, we simply go back to the body, to the actual feeling of the body sitting and breathing. So let's go back to the koan and to the answer of the teacher. Sun-faced Buddha, moon-faced Buddha. According to the Mahayana tradition, there's not only one Buddha, one historical Buddha, but many, many Buddhas, infinite Buddhas. And every eon has a Buddha, and every world has a Buddha. And in the Mahayana Buddhist literature, we find the list of the several Buddhas, and there are innumerable powers. And in this list, we can find sun-faced Buddha and moon-faced Buddha. The characteristic of sun-faced Buddha is that he lives for a long time, for eons, or kalpas in Sanskrit. While moon-faced Buddha lives just one day and one night. So we have two Buddhas, one that lives an infinite life, and the other one that lives just one day and one night. But both are equally Buddha. What does it mean? Well, the answer is, let's not forget that the teacher is sick. One way of understanding it is that both health and sickness manifest Buddha nature. When we are healthy and strong and everything goes well, maybe it's easy to see that our health manifests Buddha nature. But when our body is sick, old, dying, maybe it's more difficult to see that even in that moment is manifesting Buddha nature. So here, Buddha and the ancestors are teaching us that sickness, I know that is very strong to say in a moment like that, but sickness manifests Buddha nature. So Master Ma, at the question, how are you, answers, when there is health, there is Buddha. When there is sickness, there is Buddha. And the question is for us, can we find peace in the middle, in the midst of suffering, in the midst of sickness? Can we realize that, in Zen we say whatever comes is Buddha. Every single moment manifests Buddha. Can we find peace? Can we be at peace with the present moment, even if the present moment manifests sickness? I guess you're all familiar with the Heart Sutra, Makahanya Haramita Shingyo in Sino-Japanese, that we recite every day. In a very important passage, as you know, it says, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. And the meaning of this phrase is very, very deep. There are several meanings, actually. But one of the meaning is that matter manifests the absolute. And the absolute manifests itself in matter, in form. The sutra teaches us also the principle of non-duality, of non-separation. So what is the separation between health and sickness? Is our mind, is our discursive mind, conditioned mind, that tells us health, oh, beautiful, I like it, I want it. Sickness, I don't like it, I don't want it. But this is duality. Of course, one thing is to have a natural preference for health. Another thing is to be separated in a dualistic way from our life, when our life is manifest as sickness. Zen training has a lot to do with accepting reality, the reality of our life. That means to accept impermanence. And impermanence entails that health turns into sickness, that youth turns into old age. Everything is impermanent. So can we be happy in the midst of impermanence? Reality is impermanent. to hope that for a different reality is an illusion. Actually, it's the origin of suffering. The way is in opening our eyes and see that reality is impermanent. The way is to develop a happiness that is encompassing and not selective. Otherwise, it's not a happiness the Buddha talks about. If we develop an encompassing attitude that welcomes the sun and the moon, the sun and the shade, the light and shade, health and sickness, youth and old age, life and death, then there is happiness, true happiness. And we develop compassion for every sentient being and non-sentient beings. You know, Shurya Suzuki Roshi died at the age of 67 with a very aggressive cancer. And in one of his last teaching, he said, we may think that the purpose of meditation is to make ourselves physically strong or to make ourselves mentally healthy or strong. But healthy mind is not just healthy mind in its usual sense, and weak body is not weak body in its usual sense. Then he said, even though I die, with me it is all right. That is Buddha. Then he added, we should be very grateful to have a limited body. And then he added, referring to this very koan, so you know, when I'm sick, I may be the moon-faced Buddha. When I'm healthy, I am the sun-faced Buddha. But the sun-faced Buddha or the moon-faced Buddha has no special meaning. It means that whether I am ill or healthy, still I am practicing zazen. There is no difference. So you shouldn't worry about my health. Even though I am in bed, I am Buddha. So don't worry about me. But what it means to be happy to have a limited body. Well, we have the Four Noble Truths. Buddha taught us that life is suffering. And the origin of suffering is thirst and craving. And since we delude ourselves thinking that everything is permanent, every single time we get in contact with impermanence, that is in every second, we develop suffering. But reality is constantly telling us that everything is impermanent, starting from this body. So we have to be very grateful to have a limited body. How many of us are scared when we hear the news of the very high number of deaths every day because of coronavirus? How many of us are working with anxiety, anguish, fear of getting infected, or that someone we love may get infected? So if on one level is very, very important to do whatever we can to keep our body in a healthy state, of course, and to protect others, of course, on the other level, we should ask ourselves, as Suzuki Roshi suggests us, what is a healthy state? What is a healthy mind? What is a sick body? And what is the difference between body and mind? Aren't they the same thing? So what is this division? We suffer because we constantly try to manipulate the universe according to our desires. So life goes in a way, the universe goes in a way, but we have expectations that are different from the way things are, and then we suffer. Rumi, the Sufi mystic, said we suffer because we want that regular figs be square figs. But the figs are figs, and they are perfect as they are. But we want them square. The beauty of the figs, as the beauty of apples and all fruits, is that their shape is uncontrollable. Apples and figs are beautiful, very good, tasty, as they are. Even with a worm, they are good. They are like that. And life is like that. There's the winter, autumn, old age, and death. That's how it is. That's the way of things. To hope for something different, it means to suffer. Either we are able to embrace life as it is, otherwise we will keep on suffering. So as you know, in the Zen tradition, we wake up very early for the Zen, for meditation. And even in our center, we have an early morning meditation, 6 o'clock in the morning. And one day was a Monday, winter, rainy, cold Monday morning. And I heard two Sangha members talking. And one said, "Look at your face." And the other said, "Sunday face Buddha and Monday face Buddha. Sun day, moon day, Sunday face Buddha and Monday face Buddha." So even a Monday morning, sad and damp and cold, manifest Buddha nature. Every single moment, every Sunday, Monday, Saturday, rain, sun, everything manifests Buddha nature. There is more. So the original koan is in Chinese, and if you put together the pictogram of sun in Chinese together with the pictogram of moon, together they form the pictogram of enlightenment. So to a Chinese person or a Japanese person that reads this koan, is immediately clear, if he or she has eyes to see, that sun and moon together form enlightenment. Sun and moon, life and death, old age and sickness. With only one without the other, there is no enlightenment. In the Buddhist iconography, the medicine Buddha, another Buddha, medicine Buddha, by Sajaguru, the Buddha that gives health, is represented with the blue skin. And in one hand, he holds a bowl of rice, and the other hand is in the mudra or hand position of dana, giving, gift giving. And with the right hand, he also holds medicine flowers that if you take it, if you ingest it, it will eliminates the three poisons: greed, hate, and delusion. That means that the fundamental sickness is formed by greed, hate, and delusion. So a healthy mind is the mind that works with greed, hate, and delusion. And the meditative practice to get rid of greed, hate, and delusion should be practiced with patience. Patience of kshanti is one of the paramita, one of the perfections. And kshanti, that normally we translate as patience, can also be translated as inclusivity. Suzuki Roshi talked about a happiness that is all-encompassing, included impermanence and sickness. So the way to walk is the way of accepting patience. It means to accept reality fully with a all-encompassing attitude, not with with an attitude of separation, with a mind that is patient, luminous, happy. How am I doing with time?
It's 12 o'clock now. Oh, well, take as much time as you like. You're doing fine.
Do I have some more minutes?
Oh, sure.
Sure. Okay. So we have the sun-faced Buddha and moon-faced Buddha. One that lives long, one that lives a long time, one that lives a one day and one night. Either one, whether short or long, is okay. And to die at 71, 67, as Suzuki Roshi, is a long time from a certain point of view. But from the sun point of view, but from the point of view of the history of the universe, it's just 1 second, and both are okay because both are a manifestation of Buddha. Long life, short life is Buddha. Sun-faced Buddha is shining, feeling, unchanging, manifesting, is a symbol of the absolute, of suchness. Absolute. While moon-faced Buddha is a symbol of the relative, of multiplicity, of difference. And a very important sutra in the Zen tradition is the Sandokai. It's not a sutra, but it's considered as a sutra. Sandokai, harmony of difference and equality. Oneness and multiplicity, absolute and relative. The Zen practice has to do with realizing the harmony or interfusion of multiplicity and oneness, absolute and relative, form and emptiness. And this is our nature. We are both a manifestation of the absolute and at the same time a manifestation of impermanence. That's an echo of Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna taught us the two truths, the relative truth and the absolute truth. So in sun-faced Buddha and moon-faced Buddha, we have a symbolic representation of the two truths. And we can understand on some level what Master Ma is teaching us, but actually is inconceivable, ungraspable. But there is a good news. We can practice it. How we can practice it? Taking care. One of the main elements of the Soto Zen practice is menmitsu. Menmitsu no kafu. That means taking care of small things. Suzuki Roshi used to insist on the practice of menmitsu as one of the main elements of the Soto Zen tradition, taking care of small things. So we can not understand the vastness of the meaning of the teaching of Master Ma, but we can practice it taking care of people, of small things, of the present moment, of ourselves. We can practice generosity. And since the sun-faced Buddha and the moon-faced Buddha are the same, taking care of the moon-faced Buddha is taking care of sun-faced Buddha, because they are the same. Doing our best in taking care of moon-faced Buddha, of the small things, of people around us, of the present moment, of our sick body, taking care of the, and doing our best in taking care of the moon-faced Buddha, we are, in that very moment, taking care of the sun-faced Buddha. Washing our hands is taking care of us and others. Is taking care of moon-faced Buddha and sun-faced Buddha. And this is our job. Our job is to take care of with compassion, taking care of small things with compassion, and accept life, accept circumstances, accept loss. And we have to practice with all our might. And this very moment, this difficult moment we are all living together, is asking all of us. And this is our time to practice with compassion, with composure. And our work is to do our best to open our heart and to not open our eyes to what is. So, thank you very much.
Just give me just a moment here to readjust the screens.